and welcome or welcome back to my wonderful knitting life. My name is Margaret and I am an avid knitter and teacher living on the northeastern shores of the St. Lawrence in Quebec in a small mining town. Today you find me at home on a Monday because teachers are on strike in Quebec. So that's giving me a little bit of extra time to do some podcasting. I think it's been 3 weeks since my last episode and I have been doing quite a bit of knitting on my whips, but I also have a wonderful thrift store find to show you and a number of podcasters to mention. So stay tuned, and I really hope that you will like and subscribe if you are enjoying my content, as it really helps the channel. So let's begin. Today I am wearing a very old sweater that has been in my cupboard for about 15 years maybe. This sweater is a cable sweater. I hope you can see the details there. It is a very boxy, oversized sweater knit out of Knit Picks City Tweed. It has one cable running down the front and 2 cables running down the back with some moss stitch in between. I'll try to remember to take a picture of that and add it into the video. Excuse my voice, I'm just getting over a cold, unfortunately, which seems to go along with this time of year. This City Tweed DK yarn is fabulously drapey, and it wears pretty well. I just did a little deep hilling, but it's not something I have to do very often with this yarn. And it's extremely cozy. It's very, very soft. It does not feel very rustic. I can't remember if it's a superwash. It feels soft like a superwash, but it's warm like a wool. So that might be something to look into if you're interested in this yarn with the little flecks of tweeds in it. I wanted to wear this one today because I'm starting to be known as the colorwork person, because almost everything I knit lately is colorwork, but I do actually do sweaters without colorwork, and I really enjoy texture and cables, and I think that's something I'm going to have to get into my Make 9 plans for next year. All right, on to my whips. So the last time you saw me, I was working on the zigzag cowl, which I finished, and I've already wrapped that up and it's all ready for Christmas. But I did pick up another cowl. This is the Solvarg Cowl, and this is a free pattern that you can find on Ravelry. And I'm really into the free patterns right now, given the strike. Need we say more about that? A little hard on the pay checks, but anyway, the free patterns are something I've been enjoying, and I have almost finished this. I used the cream, which is Rauma PT2, and a Full Moon Fibres non-superwash. I think it's called Wormhole. Hold on, I think I have the sleeve here. Full Moon Fibres is a pair of sisters in Southern Ontario, and they dye absolutely fabulous yarn. They are extremely talented. This is their Wormhole Fingering 4-ply, and it is a 100 Peruvian Highland wool, and it's a non-superwash. And this lovely orange tonal mixed yarn, not quite tonal because it has pops of other colors in it, it is called Vibes. So I'm almost finished that, and this is going to go into my pile of present gift making projects. So I'll be casting that off hopefully the end of today, and I'll be able to start on my next cowl, which seems to be the theme of what I'm making this year. So I found another free pattern on Ravelry, and I fell in love with this right away. This is made with a sport weight yarn, and yes, it's color work. It is called the Cowl Latvia Blooms, And I just fell in love with that right away when I saw it. I do tend to like things that are very vibrant and poppy and fun. And I just thought this was a great pattern that I could really go for. I've picked out a few possibilities of yarn. I'm going to need a solid to go with these and possibly a cream. But I've got quite a few full moon fiber skeins that I'm thinking of using. This one, and they're all in the Eclipse fingering, which is a 2-ply 100% Peruvian Highland wool. I've got this fun one called Lagoon. I've got this one, which is called Oasis. It's got quite a bit more purple in it, with that really nice orange as well. And then the last one I have is called Jewel Bouquet. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to use, but I love them all. They have some similarities. They've got kind of a homespun look, a little bit of the zebra striping. So lots of fun things I could do with that. But I'm looking at cowls right now. That's on the agenda for all the gift knitting. So I'm going to make this more of a short video today just to do lots of updates. And that brings me to my Albertine jacket, which 90% of my time in the last 3 weeks has been spent knitting the Albertine jacket, and I've just been zooming ahead. So this jacket, I've talked a lot about, and I'm kind of documenting it as I go along. I last left you at me starting to do the increases for the bust here, and I just kept knitting and knitting and knitting until I got to the sleeve. So this is where this whole steeking thing gets really interesting, because there is the steek up the front for the button band. But in order to keep knitting in the round, which is much faster than doing purling and color work, you cast off your stitches under the arm as you're doing one row around, and then the next row you cast on steek stitches, and you're going to be cutting this, and that is where you will insert your sleeve later on. So you can still keep doing that color work in the round. Now I've kind of come to a pivotal point here, because I have cast off across the front button band placket, and now I'm going to do that angle decrease as I come up to the shoulders. And Sidsel's pattern does have you at this point discontinue the steek. I know that you can put in another steek for that little section right here so that you don't have to do the purling rounds. But she also has you knit with both yarns and purl with both yarns every time you start and end a round at this point. And that gives a lot of structure to the edge of the garment there. And I don't really want to mess with that by putting in a steek. So I now have to just suck it up basically and do those purl rounds whether I want to or not. So that's where I'm at. But I want to show you something really amazing. This has to be like my favorite part of the sweater. On the back, there is this beautiful motif that is incorporated into the design between the shoulder blades. I've almost finished it. I was a little worried that I didn't start it soon enough and I wouldn't get the whole motif in, but I'm going to be good. I'm going to be fine with that. And this also has a lot of duplicate stitch on it, and also the sequins with the beads. So that is a really eye-catching little extra on the jacket, which I am loving. So it's going really well. I did take a little bit of a pause because I'm now going to be going back and forth with the purl and doing those decreases for the neckline. And I've been sick, so I didn't want to conquer anything that was going to be too much while I haven't been feeling better or feeling very well. So I've been mostly in the last couple of days working on the cowl, but I will pick this up again soon and finish the whole body. And then I have the sleeves, so we will see how fast I get the sleeves done. I've got a few ideas on the sleeves. They're knit in the round. I suppose I should stick with that. I've also thought of doing 2 at a time sleeves. I know people will do that magic loop, and that is something that I need to investigate. I could also steek them, so I could just do both of them with steeks between them. I'm not sure. I'm still contemplating how I'm going to do that. I don't want to change the design too much, so I'm going to hold off and be fairly careful about how I go about doing that. All right, so that brings me to my honeysuckle in the woad colorway. So I talked about this on my last podcast. This is a beautiful design by Marie Wallin. The colors are fabulous. The design is gorgeous. Yarn, fantastic. But I have knit up to the sleeves on the back, and what I have discovered is that this is too large. It is much too wide for me. And I figured I'd have to rip it back, and then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna just knit the whole thing in the round so I don't have to bother with doing that purl row and color work, which I just despise. It's not my thing. Well, I got some amazing suggestions from a couple of viewers that just knocked it out of the park. So the first one said, finish it, just put up with it, finish this, but do the 2 fronts with 3 steeks. So I would steek where it was meant to be steeked at the front, or maybe it would be 2 steeks, and then put a steek between them and just do the other 2 in the round rather than, you know, discarding all of the work that you've put into this one. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. I'll have to think about that. And then I got another person that commented, and she just put something out there that I'd never thought about. And this is what I absolutely love with the knitting world, is the ideas that come together with all of our minds. And she said, don't rip this out, just cut it, sew it and cut it to size. And then knit the other 2 pieces at the front, the left front and the right front, in a steek. And you'll be fine, and you won't waste your time ripping this out. I thought, wow, why didn't I think of that? That's such a great idea. So I think I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to rip this out. I'm going to measure it really carefully, and I am going to take my sewing machine and sew down where I want my edge to be. And then I will cut the excess and just fold it over, and I'll be good to go. It's a garment that is knit in pieces, and Marie Wallin does that a lot with her cardigans. And I do think that the pieces give it structure, whereas if you're just knitting it completely in the round, you don't have that structure. So I'm going to give that a shot and see how it goes. It's such a shame to rip out knitting when you've already done everything. And I've also sewn in a lot of the ends too. So that's something else I don't want to really have to pick out. All right, so I talked about a Marie Wallin sweater that was not great. Not criticizing her design, but it just didn't finish the way I wanted it to. So I'm being very brave today, and I'm going to show that design. So this is the Aisling sweater, and I knit it in a size large, and I did the body, and the body turned out to be, you know, a little oversized, but that was okay. And then when I knit the yoke for the first time, I think I had something like 500 stitches when I put the sleeves on. And I knit and I knit and I knit. And the more I knit, the more I realized that it was just going to be supersize and much too big for me. So I had no choice but to rip it out and start again. So what I did was I rapidly decreased it where I could to get it up to a reasonable size. However, it still is rippling a little bit. Like there's still too many stitches there. I went on Ravelry and I took a look at what other people had said about this sweater, because I just thought, why is this not working for me? My gauge is okay. It just didn't seem to make sense. And the women who had posted on Ravelry about this sweater had the exact same problem. So I didn't feel quite so alone with this issue, because, you know, you always wonder what's going wrong here. Is it me? Maybe it's the changing a sweater that started off as a small when it was being designed into a larger design that maybe was a challenge for the writers of the pattern. But I mean, it is a stunning sweater, but it's just really big. And the other thing I found too was that the cuff and the sleeves are fairly narrow, and then it gets quite bulky up here. Because originally I thought, well, maybe I'll just like do a steek, like cut it and do a steek running all the way down here and just take in the excess fabric. But the cuff is already fairly snug. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with this. I really don't want to have to rip it out, and I don't have anybody in my family that's bigger than me to gift it to. So I'm going to have to figure that one out. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. We have so much knowledge between us in the knitting world that everybody always comes up with such great ideas. So if you can think of something, let me know. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is a fabulous thrift store find that I came upon with the help of some friends who visit our local thrift store quite often. I have two friends, they're a couple, and I walk my dogs with their dog quite regularly. And my friend had been to the thrift store on a Thursday, and she said, you know, I found something really amazing. I think you might be interested in it. And I said, well, you know, what is it? And she said, well, I think it's like a Dale of Norway sweater. And I tried it on, but it just doesn't fit me that well. It's a little too tight in the sleeves. And, you know, I left it at the store, and, you know, they're charging $30 for it, but they retail for $400 US, and in Canada dollars, you know, even more. I've seen them as high as 499 Canadian dollars. So I thought, you know, maybe I'll just go take a look at it. It's a small size. It's not going to fit me, and that is a real shame. But I thought, you know what? It will fit my oldest daughter. It probably would fit my sister, and I know that they would love something like this. So I didn't make it on Friday. That was our staff party and a crazy day. But I was at the door of the thrift shop at noon when they open on Saturday, and it was exactly where my friend had said it was. And this is the sweater. So I did buy it. This is an authentic Dale of Norway sweater. Dale of Norway is a company that has been around since 1879. I looked it up and found a little bit of information about it. It's been around since 1879. Of course, they did hand knitting, but now they do wonderful machine knitting designs. This particular pattern is called the Peace sweater, and it has always been on my dream knits list to make. I just think it is a stunning, stunning design. I'll turn it around because the back is also really fun to take a look at. It's got these little heart motifs running down the center. The collar is just gorgeous, just fabulous. And this sweater was designed for the 206, let me take a look at my notes, the 2006 Torino, Italy design, made from 100% Norwegian wool for that 2006 Olympics. So this was their Olympic design for that particular event. And it has the authentic pewter little heart on the zipper pull. It's got this embroidery ribbon on the front placket, and I am just absolutely delighted to have found this. I did get it for a pretty good price. I got it for $20. It was originally for $30, but it had a couple of threads that were pulled. And when I took it to the counter and I said, is there anything we can do about this? I felt like my mother was right beside me because she used to love to barter in thrift stores. So I managed to get the price down to $20, and I have washed it. I've put it in the freezer as well, just to make sure that there's nothing in the wool that could be a problem. I've soaked it in eucalyptus. It has just come out wonderfully. It smells like jasmine because I use the jasmine eucalyptus, and oh my goodness, I can't wait to see who it's going to fit at Christmas, and who will give it another life. It does in some spots look like it has a little bit of bleeding, but there isn't any bleeding. It's just the halo of the red yarn that gives that effect. Because, you know, when I was really looking at it and checking it out, I wanted to see that it was A-okay, and it really is. It's in fabulous shape. So what an exciting find. I never would think in a small mining town that would be what I would find at a thrift store. But you never know what you're going to find when you go treasure hunting. All right, so I'm not going to make this a long one, but I have a few thank yous and shout outs to give to a number of podcasters who have mentioned me in their videos. And I can't say how much I appreciate that, because it brings people to my channel. I make new connections, and that really has been what my podcasting life has brought to the table. A lot of new friends, a lot of advice, information. It's just been such a wonderful journey so far. So the first person I want to thank and also give a shout out to is the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. This is a Canadian podcaster by the name of Nikki, and she is from Ontario, Canada. Her thing with knitting is a lot of Marie Wallin sweaters in color work. I think she's done a couple of Jennifer Steingass. She does wonderful texture, and she's just really sweet and lovely. And she seems to put out a podcast about once a month, and I would highly recommend going and visiting her channel. The second person I want to thank for a shout out is Joy of Quail's Knitting Nest. She is a master knitter, so she's taken all of the courses to become a master knitter, and that's actually how I found her. I wanted to find out more about master knitting, and I came across her channel, and she had done extensive explanations of this during episodes she had made of the time of COVID, and I was really fascinated with everything that she has done. She is an extremely accomplished knitter, a lot of knowledge, and she puts a lot into her videos, which I keep learning from every time I see one come up. I really enjoy them. She also sometimes has a guest or two here and there, which makes it really fun as well. Another person I want to thank is Saskia Knits. She is a relatively new podcaster. And one of the things that has caught my eye that she's been working on and documenting is the knitting of the porcelain sweater. And she is doing a beautiful version in blue and white. And it always reminds me of the china, the old china that's in blue and white. So really pretty sweater. She speaks really well. Would be wonderful if I could send some love over to her channel. And the last person I want to give a shout out to and a thank you to is Made by Yaleen. She is a South African knitter. She has just finished documenting the Stephen West MCAL along with a few other knitters. And if you're interested to see all of the different ways that they finished their MCALs, go over and take a look. She's got lots of information about that, and a lot of wonderful designs and colors, just a lot of fun. So I'm not going to make this one a long one because, as you can tell, I'm getting a little croaky, but I wanted to just check in, update you with all of my current projects, and say shout out to all those podcasters, and just again engage with the knitting community. I read and enjoy every comment that is put in the comments with my videos, and you are more than welcome to tell me what you're up to. I did say on my last video that I have some prizes coming up. I'm looking at giving a prize out at the 1,500 subscriber mark, the 2,000 subscriber mark, and for my 1-year podiversary, which will come up in the beginning of January. I have a number of project bags that were donated by a friend, Tracy, and I'm really getting excited to be able to share those with a winner, which is going to come up pretty soon, I hope. All right, thank you for watching. If you've stuck with me to the end, take care, and I am wishing you a wonderful December. I hope that you get to spend some time knitting and spend some quality time with your families. Take care. Bye-bye. And I didn't want to forget sharing my new puppy in person. This is Siki, and he is from Rescue Dogs Lebanon, Canada, a fantastic organization. And Siki and I just wanted to say thank you to them, and a big thank you to Gladys, who was his wonderful foster parent in Lebanon. She took wonderful care of him, and he is doing really well, Gladys. He's a wonderful, wonderful boy, and growing like crazy. He's definitely getting bigger since you saw him last. Anyway, take care, Gladys. We love you. Bye-bye.